Everybody, welcome to the Close to the Heart podcast. This is the flagship show of the PFC Podcast Network, powered by Anchor.fm. I'm Jason Klaus. Certainly appreciate you tuning in this week. We're going to do something, and of course, I'm running solo on this particular episode. We're trying to get things back on track here in terms of regular content release, in terms of what our schedule had been. Making every effort to get back on track here. Tomorrow you will hear a brand new episode of Power Tripping Through the 80s, and then on Saturday you will hear the next installment of the Real Podcast. So slowly but surely we're starting to get back into the swing of things here. Just a lot of moving parts happening, and one way or the other, we're navigating through some challenging times. We'll call it that. Okay, not going to go into any great detail at this point, but just know we are making every effort here to get back on track here. Now, with this episode. And this is becoming a more of a reoccurring trend as far as podcasts go, not just here on our network, but generally speaking, if you listen to a podcast, a regular, established, weekly, bi-weekly, sometimes even daily podcast, they will incorporate video presentation. And that's what we're doing here this week with this show. This is being filmed, and it is going to be uploaded to YouTube. And some people like to have that visual. Now, when things, full disclosure, some of you may have seen a couple of the new drops that we had over on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't, you can check it out, youtube.com/Klaus to the Heart. I started doing a more video presentation, like the previous episode, my interview with Todd Gilbert, that was on there. And then I reintroduced the Audio Adrenaline series, very short motivational videos with all the bells and whistles and, overlays and pictures and things of that nature to give you something different. If you don't have the time or whatever to sit and watch a 45-minute, hour-long podcast recording, look, I totally get it. That's the beautiful part about podcasts. If you can't watch it, you can at least listen to it. And if you don't have that amount of time, but you still need some sort of video entertainment, for the lack of a better term, that's what the Audio Adrenaline series is for. But with this is going to get uploaded to the YouTube channel, and you will at least have a visual for this particular recording session. And it's just me. There's not going to be a whole lot of bells and whistles in terms of what is presented to you on the YouTube channel, assuming I can get all the ducks in a row and everything goes well, because we all know that technology and we're not always on good terms, for the lack of a better term, right? Now, I have been struggling a little bit to try to figure out exactly what I wanted to talk about, especially this week. Like, there's a lot of things happening, and there's a lot of things that I could tap into in terms of my mind, my heart. There's a lot of things swirling around here that I could dive into, but there is a time and there is a place, and this is not it right now. Just because there's a lot of uncertainty. just because there's a lot of different emotions, circumstances, feelings, things of this nature that play a crucial role in all of this. And like, I am not somebody that's just going to go on social media and just spout off at the mouth. Just off the, I mean, if I post something like on my personal thread or whatever, on my personal Facebook page, or if I write a blog on the website or whatever, that's calculated. Very rarely do I ever just get involved in a situation where it is raw emotion in real time and this is what I put out there. I don't do that. Um, now, coincidentally, uh, during this last episode of the Real podcast that you heard on Saturday, this last Saturday, um, Amy Sheridan started talking about the the inclusion of memes, that people will post on social media in an effort to make a statement, generally towards another individual or a group of people or a scenario or something like that. Like, they won't have a conversation with you, but by God, if you go on there on their news feed or whatever, or on their timeline on their wall, you're going to see a bunch of memes that say one thing or the other, in an effort to make their point known without actually coming out and making their point known. You know what I mean? It got me to thinking, because I listened to that show back a few times, because there was something that was really triggering something in my brain, just based on what she was talking about. And like, I really wanted to expand on that, but I just wasn't really sure how I was going to tackle it. Now, cliches. We have gone through life, and you have heard different phrases, different catchphrases, different slogans, things of this nature that have been used so much that they've become cliche. And when you say that something has become cliche, it's generally in a negative tone because people have dismissed it. It's just a cliche. It's just one of those things that people say just to say. I generally don't operate like that. Like, if I say something, it's because I damn well mean it. Again, it goes back to the calculation of my presentation. Now, full disclosure, because when you come into a studio like this, and when you sit down behind a microphone and you're hitting record and you know what you're going to say, you know what the conversation that you are about to embark on, either with another individual or with you, the listener, or the viewer, or whatever the case may be, you know that's going to be on a public realm. So that is that is one mindset. Um, in real life, you don't always have that opportunity to take a step back. You don't always have that opportunity to think about what you're going to say before you say it. Sometimes it may be in the midst of a pretty heated argument or a conversation, and when you're running on raw emotion, when you're running on adrenaline, when you are in a situation where you are not, admittedly, in the best frame of mind, you are going to say just about anything just for the sake of saying it, because it's what's on your mind. And when it's on your mind in that kind of scenario, it's coming out. Now, what people don't take the time to realize is, once you put that out there, it's out there. If somebody is feeling any sort of ill feelings whatsoever, if they're hurt, if they're pissed, if they're um, any number of ill feelings. A lot of people handle that differently, and one common way is that they're going to say whatever they're going to say in an effort to make somebody else feel the way that they do. Now, a lot of times it's not meant that way. They're trying to illustrate in a way how they feel. They're trying to illustrate in a way the things that are going on in their minds. They're trying to figure out how to get out of a particular problem, how to navigate through some degree of bullshit that they're dealing with. Somebody who looks at the silver lining in life, like I try to do, it's become um, in some cases it's become a source of contention, because when another individual is hip deep in shit and they don't know how to get out of it right here and now, it is so easy to be overwhelmed. It is so easy to let all of the ill feelings, all of the less than favorable situations to compound and to be the focal point in their mind. And when that happens, it's very difficult to see, acknowledge, or feel any of the good that is in their life. In their minds, everything is fucked. In their minds, there is no good happening. Even though, as cliche as it is, like, you woke up today. And I realize that there are cases and there are situations where you get so bombarded with so many moving parts that is not necessarily filling your sails. It's very easy to just tap into the negativity that's going on, because that is the dominant thought, the fear, the anxiety, the uncertainty, as it were. It becomes dominant. And when that becomes front and center, it's very easy to sit there and just dismiss everything else that's going on. In some cases, because things are what they are in their mind, it's just easier to pull the plug on whatever the case may be. A relationship, a job, in some cases, life. On the extreme cases, life. Like, they just don't want to do this shit no more. It's easier if you just didn't have to deal with it. I was of that mindset many, many years ago, that it would have been just real easy, to just not deal with it. I can understand the mindset that goes into that. I can. I can, because I've been there. This is oftentimes when people refer to rock bottom. And it's so easy to sit there and go the easy route, because in their minds they have fought for so long, and they have fought so hard for something that they wanted or that they were working towards. And if it's not materializing in some sort of result that gives them any sense of hope, happiness, or anything along those lines, it's real easy to just sit there and focus on the other side of the spectrum. But a lot of times it's because your vision has become distorted. Your vision to the promised land is blurred. You can't see it. I mean, it's still there. But You can't or you won't see it. Because in their mind, in your mind, everything is fucked. Everything is absolutely going downhill. You woke up today. You were given the gift of a new day. You were given the gift of a new page. It's a blank page. What are you going to write in on today's entry? What are you going to use this day for? Is it to continue to focus on everything that's not going right? Is it going to be used in an effort to try to numb the pain, the anxiety, the ill feelings that you're dealing with? Or are you going to use this as step one in an effort to get back on the right path? As somebody that has and is dealing with a lot of uncertainty, a lot of obstacles, unforeseen in many cases, like I wholeheartedly understand how easy it is to slip into that mindset of everything is fucked. But it doesn't have to be. Now, I'm not saying that all of your problems are going to vanish just because you've reshifted your thought process away from all of the obstacles that you're dealing with, the adversity that you're dealing with. I get it, because that's the easy way out. That's the easy way to go, because it is the dominant thing. It could be the last thing on your mind, that this is the issue, this is the problem, this is what I'm dealing with. It's the last thought on your mind, and generally speaking, it probably is going to be among the first when you wake up that next day. It's human nature. It's very much on your mind. Some people allow this to dictate their entire existence because it's too much, it's too hard. There's so much happening right now. And trying to navigate through it is hard. And it takes a lot of inner strength. It takes some of us to tap into a reserve deep down in our soul that, when things look so bleak, it's difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I guess I go about things differently. And a lot of other people do too. Like, yeah, there's a problem. And it's a significant one. But I also understand that nobody's going to pull me out of this. Nobody is going to navigate me through whatever obstacles we're having to go through. Like, that's has to fall on me. Now, I understand where there is a contradiction here, because I have come on here many, many times and said, look, you need a support system. You need people that is going to rally behind you. You need people that is going to be in your corner. And even those people, that the ones that are in your corner, the ones who have gone above and beyond, the ones who have demonstrated over time that you are their rock, you are their go-to person, a lot of times people take those kind of people for granted. Some people just completely push them right out of the goddamn picture for a number of reasons. It adds another layer of anxiety because then their mind starts going to, well, my bullshit is starting to affect somebody that I care about, and I don't want that to be a thing, so I'm just going to push them right out of the picture. That is the absolute last thing you need to be doing. Because if you have somebody who has demonstrated that they are going to be in your corner, that they are going to support you, that they are going to be there with you, for you, through the thick and thin, those are the people you need to rally around, and those are the last people you need to be pushing to the wayside. Because when things like that happen, the other person that just got pushed to the sidelines, their level of patience is going to be on full display. And if you keep pushing them away and you keep saying things that in an effort in your mind, it may be to be in their best interest, it don't work out that way. Because at the end of the day, even though your intentions in your mind as you're dealing with all of the other bullshit that you're dealing with, you are starting to compromise what that person is willing to do for you because they don't feel like they're needed, wanted, appreciated, or anything under the sun like that. And if, hey, somebody, as somebody who is very much in tune with that kind of mindset, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, if somebody demonstrates some degree of loyalty and they're going to be there for you, instead of pushing them away, those are the ones that you really need to lean on. And don't dismiss each and everything that comes out of their mouth because in your mind, in your circumstance, in the immediate here and now, it you're not doing yourself any favors by pushing away the people who have demonstrated that kind of commitment to you. Because there will be a day. If you continue to do that, I promise you, there will be a day when you realize what you've done, and when you go back to apologize, they're not there. When you think about how you may have gone about that particular scenario and how you treated that person and what you said to that person. Like, everybody has a threshold. Everybody has a breaking point. Some people, I mean, it's not all that deep. Like, it don't take a whole hell of a lot for them to check out. Other ones will demonstrate a level of patience that is off the goddamn charts, to the point to where their friends or may call into question, like, what are you doing? Why are you willingly going through this? Why are you being a part of this? Why are you setting yourself up for your own brand of heartbreak and anxiety and things of this nature? It's individualized. It's real easy to just slip back into what you deem is the norm, even though the norm or your former life or whatever the case may be, like, there's a reason why it wasn't serving you to begin with. This has been a topic of discussion recently. Situations arise as somebody is trying to navigate to a new chapter in life, and it's like it's challenge after challenge after challenge after obstacle after roadblock after detour after this, that. I mean, it seems like a nonstop barrage of bullshit. to the point to where they forget why they wanted to embark on a new chapter, because whatever was happening previously was not in their best interest, mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever. But then, like, that's what they know. That's normal. That there was a degree of, for the lack of a better term, and I hate putting it like this, but there was like a comfort level because that's what they were used to. And now, as they try to embark on a new chapter in life, they're seeing resistance. They're seeing resistance because there are forces from the previous chapter that see that you are trying to break away from that crap, and they're going to do anything and everything to pull you back in, because they have their own issues to deal with. And that's what validates their existence, is by orchestrating or behaving in a situation that is less than ideal. But in their mind, they have justified it in some way or another. It's a fucked up scenario. But you realize the more resistance you meet, it's because you are really challenging the quote unquote norm. Because, I mean, how many times have you heard me say anything worth having is worth fighting for? It is. Because even when you're navigating through all of the crap that you're having to, if you're meeting resistance, it's because you're making strides. And that there is something on the other, that from the previous chapter, that just does not want that to be a thing. Now you can fall under the category that most people, when things don't go right, they need something or somebody to blame. They need to put blame on an entity so that they have something to focus their rage, their disappointment, their heartbreak, everything on. Like, they gotta have that. It doesn't, that's human nature, man. It's just the way it is. We need somebody to put the blame on. We need somebody to point the finger at. And oftentimes, when you can't figure out who's to blame, like, that's when the universe comes into play. The universe doesn't want me to be happy. The universe is going to do everything it can to keep me from where I want to be. If it's not the universe, it's karma. And then they start, like, going through the Rolodex of memories of every bad thing that they may have done in their lives up to this point, and they're like, well, I'm paying the price for this. Karma is slapping me upside my head because I've done this and I've done that, and look, what's done is done. And yeah, karma can and does play a role in things, and I can understand that argument wholeheartedly. If it's not the universe and it's not karma, then it's God. God hates me. God is putting every obstacle in my way to make sure that I don't get to where I want to be, because I guess that's not where I'm supposed to be. So fuck you, God. I've heard that a lot, and I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment, regardless if you believe or not. But what I can tell you is that the universe does not give a fuck about what we're doing. The universe is there to be there. The stars don't always align the way we want to, because we can have all the well laid plans in place. It takes an unforeseen circumstance to throw a wrench in the works. That happens. But it doesn't have to derail what you want to do and who you want to be. If an obstacle comes up, if an issue arises, if there's a challenge that has presented itself, identify it. And what can you do to remedy the situation? No one said this was going to be easy. No one said life was going to be a piece of cake. Especially if you do embark on things that are out of the norm for you, that are not normal, that is not easy. It's just the way it is. Doesn't mean that's not where you're supposed to be. It just means you're going to have to fight a little bit harder for it. But I can promise you this, and I can tell you this from personal experience. Once you get to that goal, once you achieve that particular result, the harder you had to work for it, the more it's going to mean to you. That's cliche, but it's real life. Now, we can sit here all day long and allow all these different influences and things to dictate who and what we are. I refuse to. I refuse to just let life tell me where I'm going to go. I'm telling life where I'm going. Once you get your mind set on something, once you get your mind, body, and soul on one page towards one goal, and you're committed to it, this is what shapes you as an individual, fundamentally. And what kind of individual do you want to be? Do you want to be somebody that just kind of floats along the river of life, even though that your particular course at this point, juncture, has you heading straight for a 950-foot waterfall, and at the bottom of it is some of the most jagged rocks you will ever see? There is no chance of survival. I don't do that. I am one of those individuals, and I've mentioned this before, that I don't do things the way normal people do. I don't just fall in line. That frustrates people. Like my level of patience is it's I've said it before, it's been my greatest strength and my biggest weakness, my biggest hindrance, because I give people the benefit of the doubt when a lot of times they don't deserve that. But if I see something that is worth fighting for, I'm going to fight tooth and nail for it. There's no question about it. If anything or anybody means anything to me, I'm going to fight for them in any and every possible way I can. That's just what I do. It hasn't always worked out in my best interest, but that, I mean, that's just what it is. And sometimes we need to be reminded that even though things are not going necessarily the way we thought they would, it doesn't mean that's not where you're supposed to be. It just means we're just going to have to figure a different route to it. And if it means anything to you, you will. Instead of just throwing your hands up at the, you know, when things seem so dire and overwhelming and all of this. Like, I get how easy it is to throw your hands up in the air and say, fuck it, I can't do it, and you walk away and do something else. But then you run the risk of sacrificing arguably the greatest people, moments, or memories that you will ever be a part of, or that will ever be a part of you. Life is not always going to be easy. It's not supposed to be. If it's easy, then it's just as easy to be taken away from you. It's another cliche. Life is one big cliche. It's not nearly as complicated as people make it out to be. Situations, yes. Individual scenarios, absolutely. But in general, as you navigate through life, it doesn't have to be overly complicated. It's just a matter of how much are you willing to put yourself into it. And it comes down to this. The cliche of them all, the biggest one of them all. Do unto others as you would have done to you. Even though you may be struggling, even though you may be in the midst of so much turmoil, how you conduct yourself, your mindset, is going to cause ripple effects in a lot of different areas of your life. How you go about it is going to determine your level of success. It's just the way it goes. I firmly believe that everybody has a right to be happy in life. They have a right to be fulfilled and to be cared for and to be loved, to be taken care of, to be appreciated, to be heard, to be felt. These are basic fundamentals of life. This is what this is, you know. You get one shot at this. I understand how difficult things can be from time to time. I can understand where that mindset comes in, where it seems like a constant barrage of shit, and it's easier to just give up on it. But if everybody gave up in the midst of turmoil and controversy and ill feelings of any sort, if everybody did that, nobody would do anything great. It would just, I mean, it just wouldn't. Watching our loved ones go through significant challenges is among the hardest things that we will ever experience. Naturally, if they mean something to us, like, our natural instinct is to, what can I do to fix this? How can I help? But if you don't have it, if you're not going into it with the best of intentions, the best of intentions meaning that it's not just how it's going to benefit you, but more so how it's going to help the person that you care about that's dealing with this. you're just adding another layer of fuckery along the lines. If you don't have intentions that are pure in heart and in mind, you're not going to get very far at all. Because eventually it's just going to come back around and it's just going to add another layer of bullshit and it's going to slap you upside the head. So if you're going to be invested in, if you're one of those that want to help, you need to want to help for the right reasons, not just for some sort of selfish gratification or something along those lines, because you're not going to get very far. Just a couple of things to think about this week. If you have any questions, comments, feedback of any sort, hit us up over on the Klaus to the Heart Facebook page, or you can go to klaustotheheart.net. All of our contact information, email links, and things of that nature are over there. And like I said at the top of the show, tomorrow, a brand new episode of Power Tripping Through the 80s with myself and Sean Krugel. And then on Saturday, we will have a new episode of The Real Podcast with Amy Sheridan. With that, go out, be awesome to yourselves and to each other. And we'll see you right back here next week with the Klaus to the Heart podcast, the flagship show of the PFC Podcast Network, powered by Anchor.fm.